Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to Season 4 of my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. Now, one thing I've learnt in life is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear about how they are, how they got to where they are, and get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions to kick off the new season. I brought in one of the broadcasting big guns, Newstalk ZB Drive host Heather du Plessis-Allan. She's an expert at cutting through nonsense and holding people to account, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Heather, it feels really odd because I'm used to this being completely reversed.
I'm really touched, Paula, that you want to have me on your podcast. And first up as well, thank you.
Yeah, we're going to hit it this season.
Are you?
Yeah. Well,
who else have you got?
Starting with the big guns, you know.
Yeah, it's only uphill from here.
Only uphill.
You're supposed to say the opposite, but anyway.
So you're going to end up interviewing me, I can tell. It's just going to be like that.
It does feel weird, eh?
It does.
Because you're
really
pausing,
weird.
like you're waiting for me
I
to
almost am.
ask you a question. But Paula, you're in charge.
Okay, here's my rules.
I'm your manuhiri.
Are you ready for my rules?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, the rules are that I'm allowed to ask you anything.
Yes.
You know, though, that you don't have to answer.
Yes.
But you would never tell a politician that, eh?
No.
Gosh, no. And in radio, when I am trying to mentor some of the newbies and things, I always used to say to them, silence on radio is the worst thing possible.
If you don't answer, it means something anyway. So you don't have the option as a politician, right? If I ask you a question as a politician and you don't answer it, that's basically telling me that what I asked you was accurate.
Yeah, I'm going to give you I don't know what it is, advice. I'm going to tell you something that is absolutely true. When you first become a cabinet minister in particular, you are all of a sudden consuming so much information,
yes.
right? You know, like it is literally, you know, sort of 1,000 pages, you know,
yep.
for the cabinet meeting, and there is. And so while you're getting your head in that game, when someone sometimes asks you a question and you think in your head, I know the answer to that, and then you're like, is it confidential from Cabinet or do I know it because I read it in the Herald this morning? And you get very good at knowing how to lock that box.
Yeah.
But at the beginning,
it's
like,
difficult.
So sometimes when people say, oh, you look like a stunned mullet, I'd be sitting there thinking, I actually do know the answer to that. I read it in the weekend. But did I read it in the Herald or did I read it in my confidential Cabinet papers?
What's your advice then to Cabinet ministers, newbies, for how they should get around that?
Well, learn really quickly where you've read something.
Yeah.
And say, I'm sorry, that's confidential to Cabinet. Like, because saying that is true and it's
Shouldn't
fair, right?
you just always, and even if you're not sure, say it's confidential to Cabinet?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because then someone will go, well, I read it in the Herald on the weekend.
You go, oh.
And then you're like,
then you just look like an idiot.
Now I look like a real dick.
Fair enough.
Because it's not confidential.
Fair enough.
And I do safe space, so no judgy. But you're like
cool.
that as well, eh? Like, just no judgy.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm quite judgmental though.
Well, it's kind of your job, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm only judgmental. I think I'm not so much judgmental of like wacky opinions and stuff. I'm more judgmental of stupidity, I think. And when things don't
Ill-informed.
Yep. Being ill-informed, even being ill-informed, I don't mind so much because I feel like, you know, that's degrees. Like some people are super informed and you just can't be as informed as them. But I'm judgmental of being incompetent, being in a job that you shouldn't be in and you bloody well know that. Also hypocrisy, also ideas that you are wasting your time on that you know you're not wasting your time on. For example, anything the Greens have been doing lately.
Yeah.
Quite judgmental about that. But if you come at me with a different opinion and like a wacky opinion, I'm not so judgmental, more entertained.
Yeah, it makes life more
like
interesting,
you're the
right?
same, because you've had a big life with lots in it.
Yeah. And it's a bit like I would hate to only hang out with people that think the same as me. And,
totally.
You know, like I like a challenge of ideas and like people that are more informed than me. And no, for me, the ill-informed is someone who thinks that, and it's usually a white male, that thinks they're absolutely right and are almost mansplaining to you. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I was in Cabinet when that legislation, I helped write the legislation.
But Paula, let me tell you how it works.
Let me tell you how it works
absolutely.
And where it is. And you go, I know, I actually wrote the legislation and they still keep going. And then I just go, you are so ill-informed.
Do you know what that is, I reckon? I think the reason that men predominantly mansplain as opposed to women is because men have more confidence than women. They're just really confident. And I feel like we could learn from that. I feel like a bit more mansplaining from women would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Because what it would be, it's like the negative effect of something that's good, which is confidence, being a baller.
That's true. Okay, quick fire.
Yep.
Who would be your dinner party guests?
Can I say Jesus?
Sure.
I just feel like there's a lot that I need to talk to him about like what's actually written down, but things that I have suspicions about that I would like to find out.
I don't think he'd eat a lot either.
Not anymore, no. It wouldn't need the calories, would he?
No, but did he do wine?
Yeah, well, I'd like to see the wine trick. Like, I'd like to get to the bottom of whether that thing actually happened.
Yeah.
How many guests do I get, by the way?
However many you like. It's your dinner party. You're cooking, though.
Am I?
Yeah, what are you cooking?
Bolognese.
Okay,
Chelsea
easy.
Winter's bolognese recipe because
it could go all over you, which would be quite fun too.
Yeah. But it's the kind of thing, like, this is mum life. It's the kind of thing that you can prepare earlier, and the longer it sits there just kind of absorbing its own juices, the better it is. So by the time, so you don't have to cook it while you're trying to put the baby to bed and all that stuff. You can have it done pre-prepped, and then it actually gets better just sitting on the stove waiting through the day.
Who else are we having at the dinner party then?
Well, obviously I can't have any vegans, right? Because now I'm serving bolognese. Yeah. But fortunately I don't know or like any vegans, so that's not a problem. No. So no, I think just Jesus at this stage. I think Jesus and I are going to have a chat. We're going to have a big chat. Yes. Also, Barry's not coming.
Oh, yeah, because he'd take over. Well,
he
not
would
take over.
No,
but
he would. He would take over, and then he would start giving Jesus his opinions.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear Barry's opinions on Catholicism and stuff.
Because you've heard it enough.
Yeah, I want Jesus just to myself for a chat.
Yeah,
it's a lot he's got to explain.
There is a lot. Which leads me nicely into actually getting into my podcast and getting to know you a bit better. So the Christian commune. So did you have your own house on the commune? Or were you sort of all in together?
It was variously, first it started in the town that I grew up in, and then it moved like a day's driving up north in South Africa because somebody had gifted them a farm.
Yeah.
And when we moved there, which is predominantly where we lived, when we were in the town that I grew up in, it was just my mum and my brother and I, because my mum was single at the time, and we just had a bedroom in a big house, and it was awesome because we had all these like young people around who were so much older than me, but they would have only been like 18, 19, 20. We had Danny, Danny was Danish, I think, and then we had JT, the Kiwi, and we had Sam, the Kiwi. We had all these like young Kiwis around and stuff. And that was really cool because they'd all play guitar and they'd hang out with you and stuff. And when you're 5 or 7 years old, that's awesome.
So much fun.
Then when we moved up north, then we had our own house because by then my mum had remarried somebody in the commune and had another baby. And so, everybody got put
And
up
so
in their places.
did the adults have jobs? Like you're out the veggie garden,
some
you're
of them.
doing...
So some of them would be accountants in the local town or doctors in the local town. But the vast majority of them would just kind of work on the big farm, either setting up a restaurant or running the music studios that were made there, or like picking the fruit or painting or whatever needed to be done.
And did you have to go to strict church services and things like that you can, was there any of that?
They weren't so strict because it was Pentecostal, right? So it was just like lots of loud music and kind of, fun times.
Yeah, that is fun.
But it was pretty strict. I've got some, I didn't have some fun times with some attitudes about the role of a female.
I was going to say, and so, because you're stroppy, right? In the best possible way. Do you mind being called stroppy? Because I love it. Yeah, me too. So you're quite stroppy, and so you would have been even then, wouldn't you? Because I was forming my opinions really early on.
So the thing that I remember, my mum remarried, as I said, a guy from the commune, and the thing that stuck with me, and I don't get on with him, so that's the disclaimer, okay? To this day, we have a really fractious relationship because I was a difficult young person, I think. But I remember him or somebody saying to me, the man is the priest of the household. He's the leader of the household and you must defer to him. And I just remember thinking, this guy is such a dropkick. He's an alcoholic with major emotional issues. Why is he the head of the household and not my mum, who's like a well put together person who's basically actually controlling the whole situation and looking after everybody? And it really offended me. And that made my stroppiness probably worse because when you try to force respect on a young person, you get the opposite result. Yeah. So difficult child,
but
I think.
Probably quite healthy for you because, like my father in those sort of really the first 30 years of my life, very traditionalist, very much wanted to, know my place and push me in this box and that sort of thing. So I call him my resilience builder because, man, I learned how to argue and I learned how to get my way, and it's what made me actually stroppier.
That's a very positive way of looking at it, and I think that probably I should try and look at it in a little bit more of a positive way, because I've just ended up really disliking the guy. But perhaps I could see it as if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be able to cope with a lot of stuff that gets thrown at me. So yeah,
maybe. How's Iggy? How's motherhood? He is beautiful. And there is just I know that I will look back at the photos of him in years to come and be like, oh, he was a bit weird looking or something. But to me, he is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I could just, when I'm feeding him, I could just stare at him for hours. And how old is he now?
He's 19 and a half months.
Oh, that's fun.
But some of the behavioural stuff is coming through now. So
is he a bit lippy?
Tantrums, that kind of stuff, wanting his way, and I'm having to learn, that's quite challenging, learning how to parent and not get sucked into getting really upset about what's going on.
And how important that is, and that's
literally Paula started last weekend.
So much fun.
Properly started last weekend. So
good job.
Great timing,
why not?
Right at an election with the husband having had heart surgery, and I'm managing everything by myself, and then we get the tantrums too. I was like, Lord, here we go.
Absolutely. Now, how is Barry? Because it's been a scare, right?
It was intense. And it still is intense, if I'm completely honest with you, because it's a really slow recovery. I think probably they say that people who go through heart surgery often end up with a bout of quite bad depression or a personality change. And I think I understand why, because I think everybody says before you go into heart surgery, oh my gosh, you're not going to know yourself. You're going to have your aorta pumping 100% instead of 5%, and you're just going to be so fit and amazing. And I think Barry thought he'd have a surgery, he'd be up in a week basically walking all over the shop because he'd have so much energy. And it is not what happens. No. What happens is that, sure, your heart is pumping a lot of blood, but you just went under general anaesthetic for hours. Yeah. You were put on a machine that supported your life while you went under that. Then you died and had CPR. Then you had to have a pacemaker. And then you also had to have another surgery to fix what they did in the CPR. That's a lot.
Wow.
And then you had your body sliced open. And your ribs cracked and stuff. So I think...
and you've been put in a coma, effectively. I mean, that's what anaesthetic is, right?
And it is it's hard and slow. It's slow. It's really, really slow.
And is he frustrated with that?
Yeah, he said to me today he's going to, he has to go see a surgeon anyway. He said to me shortly, and he said to me he's just tired of feeling like an invalid, which I can understand. But unfortunately, there's probably more weeks of that. Yeah.
And his body's telling him, and so he just has to go through that process.
And just funny things happen after surgery. You have nights of complete insomnia, being completely unable to sleep for hours on end, and then other days where you're knackered and want to sleep all the time, incontrollable cold and shaking, and then too hot, and it's just the body is just struggling. So he's got a wee way to go.
Must have been scary for you though, and particularly after when you had to have the CPR and that sort of stage of a day must have just been completely frightening for you.
It was, because they called me at 2 a.m. to say, it was the South African anaesthetist called me and said, Heather, I'm just calling to tell you Barry's just collapsed. And I was like, oh, he collapsed. And I said, oh, did he hurt himself when he fell? And he was like, oh, no, not at all. And that was all I was told. I had no idea. But being a journo and being, having a computational mind, and then also being a high information person like many of us are nowadays, it doesn't take you too long to figure out that that's probably not really enough to necessitate a call and something else has happened. And so by 5 that morning, I'd figured out he had CPR and stuff. And so that's that kind of emotional ride of not being sure everything's going to be okay while they're in an intensive care place, then being okay, but then another setback, then being okay and another setback. That's just really a lot of emotional drama to go through. So it was just really tiring. Yeah. Yeah. And it still is, I'm not going to lie.
No, and his body's telling him he just has to take this slowly, and that's all there is to it.
Yep, so it's just going to be a really slow time. And so in the meantime, Mummy's doing everything.
In an election, Barry, Iggy's tantrums,
good times.
full-on job that you've got.
Yeah, cool.
All of it,
Do you know what though, Paula? And it's similar attitude that you had towards your relationship with your father. I said to a friend of mine, at least I am in no doubt that I can handle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that there are things that knock your resilience, that make you think, sheesh, maybe I'm not really as resilient as I thought. But right now, I am learning, no, I am.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
And also, like, geez, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened to somebody. Like, people have raised kids in the middle of a desert, you know? Like, I can do this.
Yeah, you can.
It's fine.
And because you've got so much on your plate, are you like me in that you just have to be better organised, know what you're doing? And in fact, I'm better when I'm busy a lot of the
You're
time.
super productive,
Like, you can't do that all the time. That's not healthy. And I know that. But, yeah, you are super productive. You don't waste any of your time.
Don't you think this? I think that when I walk into a workplace, I can immediately tell who's a mum and who's not.
Yes.
Because of the way that they're working. Like, there is a focus from, especially I reckon, the mums of new kids, but mums in general, there is a focus and a determination, just like doing the thing, like absolute focus, as opposed to everybody else who is just like, has a different style of working and, you know, enjoy it while it lasts, but not nearly with the level of kind of the attentiveness.
No, and that's what they say, like they're superwoman, right? They do, you know, for the shorter hours, they are more productive. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't have half an hour. I get here at 9:15 because that's my
Don't you
thing,
reckon?
and then I am out of here.
If you want shit done, hire a mum.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And also, always have a woman in the team. Otherwise, shit falls apart.
Yeah, that's right.
Who manages the situation?
Just looking at all that. Yeah.
There's a
being
reason
able to
women are
see right
PAs,
across
right?
it.
It's not because it's a shitty job. It's because women are organisers.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's whack into some politics before we then get to the advice segment.
Okay, cool.
And you're going to give us advice on how to be stroppy.
Okay, cool. All right.
It's not what the producer said, but that's how I'm doing it and sticking up for yourself. Okay, because you're a complete politics junkie, right?
Yeah.
And we're 1 week post-election. Was that the longest election in the entire world?
Yeah, but why, Paula? Why was it so long?
I don't know. Why was it so long? Because we didn't know Luxon, and so everyone felt that they needed longer to get to know him, maybe?
Okay, I'm going to throw a bunch of things at you, and you tell me what you think. So, number one theory, COVID felt like politics non-stop for like 3 years. So it just felt like one really long stretch of politics, which we're not used to. Theory number two, the vast majority of the country wanted change and were expecting change. So it was just kind of like, oh, can we get on with it and have the change? And number three, it was difficult to watch the centre-right parties start to draw back in an election when they should have been further ahead.
Yeah.
It was a combination of all those things. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think that people did want change, and then I think it started in January when it flicked from Ardern to Hipkins, and so then people were kind of like, oh, now we're going on. This is going to be different.
Yeah.
And then I want change, and then they were going, but who's this guy, Mr. New Zealand? You know, like who is he? But then can I be bothered getting to know? I just want change, and then so I reckon there was a bit of that. So if you think about it, that's what 9-10 months really.
19 months after all of the COVID crap.
That's about like full on. I mean, I'm a politics junkie, right? And I was over it.
Yeah,
like well and truly.
Yep.
You know,
and
just done.
It doesn't help that both Labour and National mirrored each other so much. There was nothing really exciting in their policies. It was, you had to go to the fringe parties for that, and they weren't releasing, apart from ACT, they weren't releasing all that much. So it was just dull.
Yeah, it was a bit. But anyway, so here we are with the country heading in the right direction. I can say that.
Do you want to chant back on track?
Back on track.
Yeah. Okay.
I was quite worried that night I couldn't hear what they were saying with the chant.
Did you think there was a swear word?
No. Someone said to me, I think they're chanting "We won," and I was like, "Oh,
no,
that
that's
would
not cool.
be nice at
No,
all."
it's very Rico Ioane, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be like, the worst thing that's happened to me is I can no longer get into the Corrie Lounge, and
And I'm going to have to drink lemonade.
Yeah.
Well, good you can even afford that, friend.
Wow. And
Cost of living.
We're just going to, I do feel for them though. I'm not going to stick up for Dan the Corrie man, but I am just going to say they are all tired. They are emotional.
Yep.
We've had a few F-offs. We've had a few things this week that when they look back, they'll wish they didn't. And I've been there. I've been there in a loss. And you're exhausted. And you've had volunteers out there waving signs and sticking things in. So you feel like you've let a whole lot of other people down as well, not just yourself. So I'm not going to... I do not reward bad behaviour, but I do understand. They will just be shattered.
Oh, that's some good tips for toddler training right there.
Go home, stay home. Actually, do a Megan Woods. Taking a few days off, good on you.
Yep.
I actually don't blame you at all.
Yep, do a Michael Wood, do the veggie garden.
Yep,
I'm with you.
Go and breathe. That's okay.
Everybody's just humans at the end of it, right? And we all have different ways that we think the country could improve, but ultimately we're all trying to do the right thing for the country, so...
Yeah, they are.
Bygones be bygones, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I've met some that have just got big egos and they're so big that you wonder if that's ahead of.
Anybody in particular?
Well, they're probably not in Parliament anymore, right?
Oh, I thought you were thinking of somebody who's coming into Parliament.
No.
Okay.
So, I would say that you can sometimes see those, big egos that, no, I wouldn't like to say that Mecca's an example of a big ego, but she did think she was almost bigger than Labour, maybe, and so I can win my seat on my name. And that's because you all love me more.
Yep.
And then you can see it in some of those ex-national MPs that have run their own little parties and things like that. I look at them and I just go, you think that you're bigger than
It's a very rare thing that you can leave and then set up New Zealand First and stick around forever.
And United Future, I was thinking, because I was thinking the other day, I thought, no one's done it. And then I was like, actually, Winston Peters and Peter Dunn, to be fair, both did.
But
very centrist, those guys.
Yes, you have to be in the centre.
Very centrist.
And I actually admire Winston more than Peter because Peter had a safe seat, right? A safe seat for him.
Yeah, he did.
Whereas Winnie P, he's just doing it on his charm.
Yeah.
And our propensity to forget what he did last time.
Okay, so what do we think is going to, so here we are. I'm going to make a call on those marginal seats. In 2011, I had won the seat of Waitakere in 2008 and took it off Labour, and they were really peeved about it, so they threw everything at me, right? They didn't actually really campaign hard for the electorate seats. They did in that one and only in Auckland Central, actually. They really fought those two seats. I won on the night, and remember, so it was still blue.
Yep.
Yeah? John Key got us well over 40% that year. It's not like it was the tide was going out or anything like that. Anyway, I won by about 360 votes.
That was the recount, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What happened?
I lost on specials by 12.
Oh, wow.
And then I won in the recount by 9. So my point is, though, the specials, even when it was a blue vote, I lost 372 votes effective. I think it was 369 to be fair. So I'm just saying, close, I reckon if you're under 200 and you're blue, I wouldn't say that you're going to keep that seat.
Do you think the specials are going to run the same way?
Yeah, I do.
So is it a false hope for the centre-right to think the specials will split differently this year?
I think they might split differently, but it will still askew to the left.
So that means Nelson goes back to
It means Banks, Peninsula, Nelson, and probably my home one, my Te Atatū, which, and I don't wish it for any of them.
Phil Stone at Twyford's back.
I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, he was a loss, so I'm stoked. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. And I hope I'm wrong, obviously, because, it's nothing, they're in there right now. But personally, I think that the swing might not be as big as it's been. We lost 2 seats last time. But
there's a silver lining to this, isn't there, Paula, which is that because of the number of electorate seats that National has won, there are only 5 list seats. Now, if there are some electorates lost, it means a greater number of list seats go to National, which means that they can get James Christmas in. Is it James Christmas?
Yeah.
James Christmas.
By the way, yes, stunning.
Who they are basically saving Attorney General for. So they really need him. So, they've lost a few people on the list who would have been great for them. So losing some electorate's not the end.
No, it all goes round, but there'll be people there that will be biting their fingernails for the next 2 weeks, and they probably should be. Then it's how that government is formed. So, we're only a week in. We've got until at least the 3rd of November. do you expect to hear anything on what that formation looks like before the 3rd of November?
Well, I don't reckon that Luxon can credibly now give us any information, having gone so hard on not giving us any information. But he needs to shut Winston down because there have been a few leaks in the last week from Winston, or just indications of how Winston is feeling, which is not helpful. I don't know, Paula. I know Winston has publicly been making all the right noises about being a team player and wanting to, he's been conciliatory. But what people say and what they actually do are two different things. And I just am slightly suspicious that behind the scenes is still going to be quite difficult.
Well, it's just in its nature, right?
Well, exactly.
I think
why
once,
would we? How
I think
old is he? 78.
Yeah.
So why would we think that at 78, which is like peak grumpiness for the male,
he's
that he would
changed.
suddenly be like, oh, meek? Like, no.
I mean, I think once he's in and he's signed an agreement, from what I've seen, he sticks with that plays particularly well for a couple of years. But I mean, he is who he is.
Can I ask you a question? Do you reckon that they will wrap it up quickly because they have made such a song and dance about the economy being weak, which is fair because it is, so they have to wrap it up quickly to get into it urgently?
Look, I think they will want to, but then whether they should or not, and respect for those special votes that are yet to come in.
No, but after the specials.
Oh, yeah. Get on with it.
Really quick, eh?
I would think so.
I think they will have pressure,
so.
yeah. So behind the scenes, I reckon they will be, even through the back channels, working with Winnie about what he wants, getting a clear idea.
They should be.
Yeah.
Personally, I think.
You know more than me. I've never done coalition negotiations. You have. What would you
have. It was one of the weirdest times in my life, really.
Did you not go in with baking?
No, I didn't go in with baking.
Missed a trick.
I didn't take the biscuits.
Should have done Jacinda. Yeah.
Yeah. I did make celebration pie, though, last Sunday.
What? After the election?
Yeah. I was just so tired.
What goes in celebration
pie?
So
tired. And I just, almost that I couldn't think because I just had been up all night and not drinking, by the way. So it was just like, that kind of exhausted.
Yep.
So I then put crap TV on and made smoked marlin and prawn pie and took it into work on Monday morning.
How good? Did it go down well?
Oh, yeah. I'm a hero amongst my colleagues.
I think this is your other workplace, Paula, that I think you should be bringing.
I should be bringing celebration pie
as well.
No, I do a good pie. Okay, well, we don't really know what's going to happen in the next 2
Dear
weeks.
God, let it be fast and painless.
But let it be fast. Let us get on with it. Let it be certain.
And let it be good for New Zealand.
Yeah.
Predominantly.
Yeah. If anyone can do it, Luxon can. I know him very well.
Okay.
And he just...
I will take your confidence.
I have complete faith in that, so I'm not worried about it at all. Okay, when we come back, it's advice time, and Heather is going to school us all in cutting through the nonsense and holding people to account. Heather, something you do on a daily basis is cutting through the nonsense and holding people to account. And it is the key role of a journalist and broadcaster. So we need some advice.
Oh, yes.
On how we cut through nonsense and how we hold even people in our own lives to account. So on the radio, you were there to take an opposition role almost, eh?
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes.
So does that come naturally to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Contrarian.
You are?
Yes.
And
also could have been a conspiracy theorist if I was more dumb. Yeah. Love a conspiracy.
Yeah. And so that contrarian, how would you define that? That just means that, if you're going to argue I'm not going to do colours. If you were going to argue it's white, I'm going to argue that it's black, and then let's see if we find a grey.
Yes.
Can you change your mind?
Yes, I can change my mind. In fact, there was something that almost changed my mind recently. But I had to pull myself back. I'm almost ever so slightly starting to be ever so slightly interested in whether fair pay agreements might be good for the country. So I am open to having my mind changed on that. Not totally convinced.
I can have my mind changed.
Can you?
Yeah, I can,
How so?
definitely. Oh, just a good argument. I hadn't thought of it from that angle. And now that I want to think about that a little bit more. But actually I hadn't, I don't know everything.
Maybe open to having my mind ever so slightly changed by Ian Foster?
Oh. Okay.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, that's good. What are you going to do about the rugby? I've really just leaped now, but that is quite exciting.
What am I going to do?
Well, we've got...
Watch it. What else am I going to do?
We've got South Africa, we've got All Blacks, we've got...
Oh, okay, so this is the thing, right? The contrarian in me always makes me barrack for the team playing the All Blacks.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who it is.
Wow.
Yeah. Even with the Irish, I was on their side. Why? Because contrarian.
Are you quite untrusting?
Oh, majorly. Yeah, don't trust anything.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll concoct entire stories, especially in my personal life, that bear no resemblance to the truth but are a credible explanation for what just happened. And then I believe that.
Wow. And then, can you sniff out nonsense? Can you?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can feel it, you can see it, you can. Yeah.
And often also have a little file. So if you do something, Paula, where I think you just fibbed to me, it goes in a little file. And then next time you will say something that is not the same as what you said last time. I still remember what you said last time because my little thingy went off. Yeah.
That memory is something. I don't have that memory.
Why not?
I don't know.
Too much alcohol when you were young?
Potentially, or bored, so I just let it go.
or imagine how much energy I'm wasting on this alternative universe in my head.
Yeah.
I need to turn that off.
I'm like, no, I'm not going to remember what Winston Peters said 5 years ago because that would just drive me nuts, and that man doesn't deserve to be in a file in my head.
Yeah, well, see,
so
that would
move on.
That's a better life. I need that.
But then I admire that memory. See, John Key, amazing memory. Yeah. Okay, so you're a sceptical person.
Very, yeah.
Okay. So do you think that this is good for us and that we all need to have a bit of that skepticism to be able to sort of see something through?
Yes.
And not just kind of sit back and idly
Paula,
think life
especially be skeptical about your own team, right? So whatever it is that you actually believe in, whether it's politics or religion or the kaupapa of your work, whatever, gender identity, whatever, be skeptical about what your people are telling you more than skeptical about the other side, because you're naturally not going to believe the other side. But I think we drink the Kool-Aid of our own team too much, and we just need to be a little bit skeptical there. Challenge
and the result will be better for it, right?
Yes, because I think it's okay to say, listen, I predominantly agree with, I don't know, I'm just going to, let's take, Paula, your example. I predominantly agree with what the National Party is about, but that policy sucks balls. Do you know what I mean? You can say that. Yeah. That's okay. I feel like there's too much of this tribalism going on where you're either fully in with the Nats or fully in with ACT or fully in with Labour or the Greens, and you can't see that maybe the other person's got, something worthwhile, and maybe that idea coming from your team is crap.
John Key had run his kitchen cabinet for a good 6 years, and it had been the same people, right? So it had been his chief of staff, Wayne Eagleson, it had been Stephen Joyce, Bill English, Murray McCulley, and Jerry Brownlee predominantly, right? And then he brought me in, and I've got to say, it wasn't so much intimidating, but because they'd been together for so long, they almost had their own language, right? So it wasn't, so it's not a criticism of them, but they kind of knew what
hive mind, it's called.
And so I was kind of sitting there, and for the first, sort of 2 or 3, and then JK called me up, and he just went, I put you there because you're a contrarian, because you think differently, because you're stroppy, and you're not speaking up enough. You know what I mean? I went, okay, gotcha, and it's that challenging of ideas, even from within, and knowing that was a safe place to do it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's great to have people like that.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to have them around you.
I really admired him for doing it, actually, because he didn't have to.
Yeah.
No.
But that's what clever leaders do. Is they and can I just say, I think that is part of the problem with what the Labour Party's just gone through, is that there were too many of them who all come out of exactly the same place in the world, right? Whether it's universities or NGOs or unions or whatever, they all think exactly the same, and they all got together and they were like, yeah, we're so right. And nobody ever, I just don't think they had enough people challenging them.
And don't have respect for the ones that are not like thinkers. Yeah? So if you are because Stuart Nash or Damien O'Connor or a little more, little more, if you like, centre then.
You can bugger off. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that...
Shut them down instead of allowing them and thinking, actually, we've got to be going just broader
shout those ideas down instead of listening to the idea and seeing if maybe that idea being reflected back to you is what some people in the community think, and maybe it's worth taking into account.
Yeah, too much like-minded, eh? And like thinkers, and then you're not being challenged, and there's no chance of changing your mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of my most used phrases was, no one in West Auckland gives a shit. Sorry for swearing,
that's exactly
but...
right, isn't it? Like, this is exactly right. So
They're worried about bloody groceries and kids and sick husbands and, you know what I mean? Like, they're just getting on with life, man.
Just on Labour, right? I would love to know, I'd love to go out and poll in the Māori electorates, like a really comprehensive poll. What do people in the Māori electorates actually think about the Three Waters legislation? And then because I reckon the same thing would be true. That's what the Labour Party decided was the most important thing to go ahead and do. It was like one of their big reforms. And then the Māori electorate, and it's all designed around the co-governance thing for iwi. And then the Māori electorate toss like how many of their MPs out. I wonder if the truth there was the Māori electorates do not give a shit.
Yeah.
It's not what they care about.
No.
Yeah.
They too care about feeding their families
Like
and a
all
roof
of
over
us.
their head and whether or not their job is secure and how the price of petrol.
I mean, because the equivalent for me is if the Labour Party had decided some sort of co-governance arrangement for women and men was important, I would be like, can you please naff off and actually deal with the cost of living? I don't care.
Yeah. So we in New Zealand are a funny lot, and we've seen it particularly this year and more recent times, in that if you do have an opinion, you're just getting shut down, and it's almost a hate culture, right?
Yeah, it's a bit full on sometimes.
Don't you think it's getting worse?
Yeah, I reckon though. What is it though? Are you thinking that we're shutting people down because there is too much opinion, or are we shutting them down because it's an opinion that we don't like?
An opinion we don't like, or it might hurt my feelings, and so you just have to be so conscious of my feelings.
I reckon that's a global phenomenon. Yeah, I reckon that is because I think that is I reckon it is the absolute. When you get to the point where you stop having an argument with somebody and your reason for that is because you have triggered me or hurt my feelings, you should go and have a look at your argument, because that is an absolute failure of your critical thinking. Like, you have got nothing else to throw at somebody other than, this is making me feel sad. That's basically it, right? I think that's pathetic. I think rolling that out, and I think the fact that we have accepted that as a reason for people to actually shut down arguments is bizarre.
Yeah.
There's nothing intelligent about that, or I mean, like, I don't want anybody to feel upset, but it's just not a competent argument.
No, it's not.
So I think the public is getting intolerant of it, which is why I think partly the flock to ZB with the audience that we've seen, especially with Mike's show since COVID, has been because there has been a debate of ideas that's been going on. It's not always been a debate that people would completely agree with, but it's ideas, right?
Yeah.
And if you then look at the alternative on public radio, what you're getting is just like constant feed of stories about the isms, about racism or homophobia or whatever, sexism, and I think people are just kind of slightly over that. I think we've got some major issues to deal with that we would actually like to debate the ideas about, and I think that's an indication of public tolerance kind of wearing thin on those arguments.
Yeah, I think so.
Identity politics.
So more debate. Is a good thing. Read up on something you're interested in. More debate is good.
Responsible debate.
Okay.
Tone and facts.
Yeah.
Important.
And then so I was reading that you don't really look at social media. You don't do, how do you keep yourself, if you're like, not safe, but you know what I mean? Like, there is some really nasty stuff out there.
Yeah, I don't read the social media. I don't get anything out of it. But even if I go onto Twitter just to see what's being said on Twitter now, there's some weird thing that's gone on with Twitter since Elon Musk took over. The thing is just shit, right? There's just like, I find nothing that's of any value on that particular platform anymore. So weirdly, Reddit has great arguments.
Yeah.
Like, there are some people with some really interesting arguments on Reddit, which I never would have said a couple of years ago. As I always thought it was just weirdos who hung out there. But I just don't read it. I find life is better for it. I don't need to know what everybody thinks of me. I mean, I've got a lot of people in my personal life who think those things of me and already tell me.
Yeah.
I'd rather hear it from people I love.
Yeah.
But you need to hear it from people.
Yeah, you do.
You do need to be held
because we all make
accountable.
mistakes, right?
100%.
And oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Quite recently, my husband went, you're a bit on edge there with that person. And I was like, oh, was I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was a bit wound up. And they went, yeah, no.
And it's like, it's quite a skill, and it doesn't come easily to take criticism in the way it's intended, which is not to, like, it's very easy to be like, if somebody says to you, you're a bit sharp there, and to sort of lash out. But you have to just actually take it sometimes.
Oh, I appreciated it because I hadn't meant it quite like
That's
that.
quite
And then,
a lot of maturity, Paula.
well, no, I didn't mind. He doesn't do it often.
Maybe that's the trick. Don't criticise too much.
Don't go too far out there. Okay. Do you think Iggy's going to be? He's got you and Barry,
Mate, I text a friend of mine, Lizzie, to say, hey, what do you do about tantrums with your toddler? Because her baby girl is 6 weeks older than Iggy.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, look, to be honest, we haven't really got them yet. And I was like, okay. Firstly, girls are different to boys.
Yes.
But definitely the children reflect their parents, So it's a loud house, right?
Yeah.
We talk loudly and a lot. And I think that as a result of that, he's learned that it's totally fine to just bawl around the house being like, nya, 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 nya. And so it's a lot of energy. He's going to be, he's going to be a bundle of high energy, and I'm just going to have to lovingly teach him to channel it into the right place and then give him some screen time sometimes to calm him down.
So as we go into a new government and Labor's a mess, let's be honest, for a while, because they just need a summer break. Honestly, they all just need to go offline for a month and have some time out. So do you see your role then as almost being a stauncher opposition for a while until they get their act together and can hold the government to account?
Do you know, Paula, I've been thinking about that. I actually think that maybe what people just need a little bit of a break from is the animosity. And so I feel like maybe what we need to do is change the subject just a little bit, right? We don't have to talk about politics all the time, and we're acutely aware on the show. It is a politics show, but we're acutely aware of the need to talk about the other things that are going on, like the sport, and there are other really interesting debates about housing and blah blah blah. That's politics adjacent, but not politics.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe what we need to do is just have a little bit of a quietening down of that. And then Labor does need to do its oppositional job, and if they don't do their oppositional job, we will, because that is what we did for a while there when I can't remember when it was, but the Nats sort of fell apart a little while there with the Todd Muller thing. Oh, did you remember that?
I just recall that slightly.
Yeah. And we had to step up as the media and sort of, hold the Labor Party to account like we were the opposition, and then thank God the opposition actually stepped up themselves and did it again. Well,
look, you keep doing your job, but I do agree with you. I am nodding furiously because I do think we all need a bit of a break.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I think we, and Paula, I'll make a prediction and we'll see if I'm right on this, but I think that we have all gone into COVID and thought, geez, that was a time, shit's going to get okay now. But I don't think it is, and I think that we've been blessed since the 70s to have had reasonable stability and peace. Obviously, sure, there have been slight variations, but for the most part, we haven't really known a massive global depression, massive war, global war, or anything like that. The pandemic was a major global upset, the first of many of our lives, and I think that it is the start of a time of tumult.
Yeah.
And so I think that we have to be in the media cognizant of not wearing people down too much, because you look at what's happened. We've had the pandemic, we've had a financial problem with inflation as a result, we've had the Ukraine war, now we've got the shit going down in Gaza that is probably not going to be solved anytime soon. And I think we're in for decades of things being a bit tough.
Yeah.
So we have to be responsible and just give people as much as they can handle, not too much and not too little, that they are duped into thinking it's fine.
And a few laughs maybe along the way.
Really important.
Really important.
Yeah.
Okay, the podcast is called Ask Me Anything, but I feel like you've already asked me questions.
I've got a question. I have got a question.
You're allowed to ask me questions.
So what happened in your life that made you decide to go for a mohawk?
Oh, that's a good question. When I was in my teens, I always had funky hair.
Yeah.
And then I conformed. And then anyway, I was talking to my daughter a while ago. I'd always said I'm going to be one of those crazy 80-year-olds that takes up smoking again and dyes her hair and tells people to bugger off. And
drinks too much gin.
And possibly uses the other words.
Yeah.
So I'd always really, if I live that long, I want to be disgraceful Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, my grandmother, I'd pull into the petrol station and she would put her window down and she would tell that when attendants actually poured your petrol, she would tell him to pull up his pants. Because, the trend was for them the trend was to be lower.
Yeah.
And, and she'd be standing in the supermarket with her money and the supermarket woman wouldn't speak to her. And my grandmother would just go, I find you incredibly rude.
Yes.
I hope you have a bad day because you've just made mine bad.
Yes.
And as a kid, I was in my teens because I would have been driving. I would just cringe, right? And then I was just like, I want to be like that.
Yeah, the freedom.
The freedom to be able to say what, like you get.
Who cares what someone
that kind
thinks?
of over 50, you get a bit of it. But I think, anyway, so I said to my daughter, I'm going to get a mohawk. I mean, everyone's getting bloody purple hair now.
Was
That's
she
not
okay with
trendy.
that?
And I said, when I'm 70. And she goes, only your daughter can say this to you. Are you really, really... So my daughter, who's 36, by the way, and is the love of my life, my daughter turned around and went, you can't be fat with a mohawk and who knows what you're going to be like by 70. Go get it now.
Good from her.
And I went, that's a bloody good point.
And so as a result, you went and did it?
I went and did it.
Paula, I'm proud of you. I want to do that too.
I thought she was right. I was like, who knows what I'm going to be like at 70.
Yeah.
If I want one, why don't I go and do it now?
You and I have two mutual friends.
Yeah.
And you know who I'm thinking of. And all three of us have decided exactly this. We're going to try to retire early and then just terrorise our neighbourhoods by being the local drunk ladies who just create problems in like long lunches. Disgraceful long lunches.
No, absolutely.
I'm with you.
Absolutely.
So you can be part of the gang if you're still around.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I can call in as the... disgraceful.
You'll be the courier.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I can make the gin by then,
What, just by sweating it out?
Yeah, I'll just sweat it out. I'll bring my pie. You'll be right.
Cry gin tears. You're so pickled in it.
Okay, thank you very much for your time today, Heather. All the best with everything. All the best with baby. All the best with that husband. All the best with the show. If you want more from Heather, we all know that you catch her daily 4 till 7 on Heather du Plessis-Allan Drive on Newstalk ZB. She also has a column in the Herald on Sunday. And that's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. You can get in touch with me by emailing askpaula@nzherald.co.nz. Please feel free to send me through your questions for the podcast or any thoughts you have. Find me on Facebook, Instagram or LinkedIn. Didn't put Twitter in there, Heather.
No, rubbish.
Nah. You enjoyed this episode, please do make sure you follow Ask Me Anything on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.